are simply just noting how your system will actually behave. You notice there's a term here which says behaviors. Okay. Alpha test is developer side testing, which includes your unit testing, integration testing, and test which is usually done with our simply just running, check whether some of your functions are working or not. Okay. For all of these tests, we have three sections or subsections further. We have your methodology, we have your results, and then we have the interpretation of the results. Okay. So for other tests, you need to prepare your test cases and test scripts. Okay. Over the weekend, I will be posting a PDF file which will contain 4 pages of notes. Okay, and it will look something like this. Okay, this is one test case, another test case here, and this is another test case. It depends on how big or how extensive are your test cases are. Okay, what are test cases? So before I go into that, let me give you an example. What you have here on the screen is a simple sign in for a Google screen. Okay, you may have an email or you may have a username here, and then you may have a password. Okay, test cases corresponds to data or actions that you are going to take. Data, for example, that you're going to type in here, maybe your own email or your username, we consider it as a valid entry, okay? Or a valid username or a valid email. Match it up with a valid password. When you click on sign in, what will happen? Again, valid email or valid username, that's a valid password. Click on sign in, what will happen? Okay, either you have, it depends on the type of system that you have. Some would say when I click on sign in, I will see a welcome message telling me welcome to this system and so on. Or it will bring you to your main page. Okay? Or it will actually show you the next set of instructions to follow. Okay? So that will be your test data. Okay? That will be your data that you will going to type in. You will have here a valid username, okay, and a valid password. So valid or username, provide a valid one, password, provide a valid one, what is expected. Okay? Next, what if I use an invalid email? Okay? Maybe instead of Yahoo, I use Gmail. Instead of Gmail, I use Yahoo. And match it up with another password. My password is valid for this account, but my email or username does not match. Click on sign in, what will happen? There will be an error, or you will not be able to see your main page. Again, that will be your next set of data here, and then your expected result. Okay? Next, what if I have an invalid email and an invalid password? Click on sign in, what will happen? Okay? So that will be your third data here and your expected result. Okay? What if I use a valid email of person A and combine it with a valid password of person B? Both are valid but belonging to two different persons. When I click on sign in, what will happen? Yes? Error or username, password does not match. Okay? Or incorrect password. Or whatever things there that you have prepared. So that will be your fourth data here and your expected result. Okay? So what feature or function are you trying to test? I'm testing my login page or my login screen or my security login. Okay? That will be my feature here. For the ID, just type S1. Okay? And then we have 4 sets of items in here with 4 sets of expected results. That will be your test case number 1. Okay? You will need to prepare another test case for the other parts of your system. Okay? As many as you can, concentrating on your main features or functionalities of your system. Hindi na lang pagtingin ng mga settings, configurations, that when you slide your scroll bar, the colors will change. Okay? Wala na da, mapaman-aman. Concentrate on the main processing of your system. How many test cases am I requiring you? There are two items. One is your test case, and the other one is your test script. Both will add up to 10 all in all. 10 test cases, 10 test scripts. Okay. What is a test script? As differentiated from your test cases. A test script is similar to a test case except that this requires steps. Okay? Such as if your system is into a game or it requires certain number of steps to process. Okay? So if you need to compute for something, you need to click on several items in order for you to reach the end part or to produce the output. So you need to define each step. Okay? For example, I need to check whether I can log in correctly to my system. Okay? Go to my main menu and then click on log out. Okay? I would like to see if I can go in and out. Okay? So, what will be my steps? Maybe step 1, open my login page. Step 2, I type my valid username password. Step 3, I click on sign in or whatever. Step 4, next. Step 5, next. Step 6, I click on log out. Okay? Something like that. For each of the steps, you will see an interaction with your system. For each interaction, you come up with an expected result. Okay? But this is just one test. Okay? Again, I'm testing it to accommodate certain number of steps. It's also recommended to test those systems who are into games. Okay? Wherein, there is no specific input data, but there are specific things that you have to click in order for you to make your character move, in order for your system to react based on your inputs. Okay? So again, it depends on your system whether you will prioritize more test cases or more test scripts, as long as you have a total of 10. Questions? Questions? No. Okay. Now, at this point in time, you are not yet conducting a test. You are just preparing the things that you will use for testing. Okay? I am preparing my data that I will use for my testing of my login page. I will be preparing my steps to test how to log in and log out from my system. Okay? So again, I'm just preparing and I'm providing here expected results, not the actual results yet. Okay? Next, what are we going to do with this test? Starting next week, because next week is already August, every weekend I would ask you to conduct this test. Okay? So if there are 10 tests all in all, you will have to conduct this test on a weekly basis. And you will need to record it using your test case validation log. For the month of August, we have 5 weeks, starting August 3 up to August 31. Okay? There are 5 weeks, which means I will require 5 test case validation log results. Okay? So for 5 weeks. Okay. Test case number 1. So you go back to your test case number 1. Whatever that test case number 1, be it a test case here or a test script. These are both test cases. So community lang may number 1. So you put the number 1 here, the date that you conducted the test, who conducted the test, and what is the test result. So for example, when you conduct this test, okay, valid person A, valid person B, sign in, main page. Okay? What happens? If this is brought you to the main page, you validate the status. Is it a pass or a fail? It's a fail. Why fail? Because based on your expected results, it should not log in. It should display an error message. It should bring you to another page telling you that something went wrong, and so on. But in your case, when you click on your valid person A, valid person B sign in, it brought you to the main page, which means the test results here show some kind of a problem. And the status is failed. If it's failed, you try to come up with a short explanation on the next slide. What do you think caused this error? If you don't have an idea, just leave it there. Okay? So again, another test case. Same date, so no need to write down. If it's the same tester, no need to write down. The results will of course, will be different, and the status will probably be different as well. Now, considering that maybe on the first week or two, you haven't finished your system yet. So for your 10 test cases and scripts, maybe 5 lang ang pwede nyo matest. So you only test the 5. The rest, wala lang 9. But I will expect that for the next week, may madugang na the number of test cases that you will perform as you progress with your work. Okay? Questions so far? Okay. So again, your test case, the preparation of your data or activities to test. The test script prepares the steps needed for set of activities. And the test case validation log is where you record the results of your test. And on the fourth page, I have here the description of the different fields so that you will not get lost in a way. Okay? So I send this to you via Edmodo. Questions so far? Yes. Kailan na ang methodology sa chapter 1? Chapter 6 na concentrate. Good. Sige na, ako na yun. Ako ba? Hindi mo na pagkataw. Hindi na. Kung matinig ko no, hindi mo nakasasingin. Okay. Yes or no? Okay? Sige. Just show that to me next week. Okay. Again, you are just preparing here. Okay? Now, what will you place inside your chapter 6? 6.1 alpha test. Since you now have your 10 test cases and scripts, I'm expecting 10 paragraphs. You have to give the details as to each of the test case or scripts that you have. No need to repeat the values that you have in your course. All you have to do is just explain. Okay? Explain what? Explain basically what is this feature or function that you are testing, why do you need to test it, maybe a sample input, okay, or a sample field to test. But you don't need to present all possible data that you will going to use, okay? So, that will be 10 paragraphs for your test methodology and a test which corresponds to 10 test cases or scripts. Question? Yes. Come again. Other concerns? Okay, next. 6.2. Since you will have 5 weeks to test, I'm expecting also 5 paragraphs summarizing your test case validation log. What happened during the first week of testing? Okay, with your 10 test cases and scripts, when you conducted the test, how many passed, how many failed? The pass, what does that mean? Is it really successful? The fail, is it really successful as a failure? Okay, so you have to explain a little bit. For the test results, you simply just present it first. Okay, so what are the results? Present it, summarize your test case validation log. there is a requirement for a 6th paragraph, okay, which will be your summary text. Okay? Summarize the 5 weeks that you have. Maybe there is one test case wherein for the 5 weeks, it's fail, 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 and fail. Okay? A significant portion of your system or a significant result. So you have to present that on the 6th paragraph. Okay? Now, on 6.1.3, the interpretation of results, you now have to discuss each week, what does each of these weeks mean based on the test result. So week number 1, my pass, my fail, what does it mean? Week number 2, pass, fail, what does it mean? And so on and so forth. But on 6.1.3, you don't need to come up with a weekly paragraph. You can just come up with a general discussion. Okay? Especially first week pass or first week na fail, second week na remedy na solve na pass. There's really no need for you to explain that. The only portion that you need to explain here is what if on the first 2 or 3 weeks pass, pass, pass. Pagka next week, 4th week fail. Okay? So what happened with that text? So you have to explain a little bit. Interpret it. Okay? Provide your idea so that the families will no longer ask you detailed questions. What happened? Why is that particular function not working properly? Okay? So unahan nyo na daan, present ang answer before the question. Okay? Especially if you have doubt that that portion of your system will probably fail, okay, during your defense. Okay? Questions with your alpha test. Okay? Again, beta test, I will give you a form or a sample for this next time. If you can recall what happened maybe during the past years, when you are passing by the library, when they were conducting their own beta test, we used the batch. When you visited them, they gave you a piece of paper wherein you need to evaluate their system based on the criteria that they have. Okay? Now, previous batch, I gave them a sample, so iba na patamad. It is lang ng title ng sample at in print. The content of the sample form does not meet or match the criteria needed for the system. Okay? Some of you, when you were writing your document, mentioned that you need to conduct some kind of a user acceptance test, wherein the user will accept the system based on user requirements. So that is your criteria when you make your beta test. Okay? Now, you will be preparing it and be giving you the sample over the weekend via Edmundo as well. The due for your draft, for your beta test form will be 2 weeks from now. So that will be sometime in August. So that we can finalize this before your beta test. Okay. Your beta test schedule was originally for September 3, 4, and 5. Wherein at this point in time, na-move up ang exam. So exams now will be on September, starting September 3 down. Okay? So your beta test cannot be moved down to August. It is moved up to September 10. So you have at least an extra week, okay, to more or less finish your work. Okay? We will be changing venue for your beta test. We will not be at the library lobby. We will be at the hall room. You will be there at the stage. What was agreed with the advisors is that there are more people daily passing through the forum than in the library. Okay? So we can get more beta testers as expected. Okay? Sige. So let's just skip the beta test for a while. Let's go to observations. Your observations is different from conducting a test. When you're conducting a test, you need to have criteria. And you check your system if your system matches or works based on your set criteria. Okay? Since you don't have criteria when you run your observation, what we do is simply just run the system and take note of certain inconsistencies or possible problems that you will have. So again, it refers to behaviors. Okay. How can you run and observe if you have already conducted your test? Okay. Sample. For those who are browser-based systems, I think you will have a favorite browser. Okay. Maybe most of you will be using Chrome, Google Chrome, or Firefox. When you run your system, you use a different browser and see how your system will behave on a different browser. Probably on a different platform. Maybe from Windows 8 to Windows 7 to Windows XP. Probably on a different device. From a desktop to a netbook to a laptop. Or maybe a tablet. Okay? Yung mga browsers na nila. And see how it will behave. Maybe you can also change your screen resolution. From your default probably of 1024 by 768, you make it smaller, 800 by 600, or make it bigger. Okay, 1000 plus, 15 something. As long as you consider the 4:3 ratio for your screen size. Take note of all the behaviors. Okay? Example, there was one group before who was actually saved by doing their observations quickly. What they did was, on the first week, they used their desktop. Everything went fine. Next week, the virus started the desktop. In-reinstall and everything. After installing, in-run, liwat the system. This time, nagsinangpawan ay tanan-tanan. What happened? Since they reinstalled, the fonts that they use are not available. The system substituted it with the most possible, nearest, whatever kind of font na sinangkawan na ilang mga data on screen. Okay? Na dinalag ko ang iban. Okay? Nag-allowance sa screen, etc. So it saved them by looking for fonts, and they reminded themselves, do not just back up the system, also back up the fonts. Okay? So, with that, we were able to conclude, simply by observation, that fonts are necessary or important. Okay? Who would think to test for fonts? Probably wala. Okay? But they were able to observe this. So, same thing. What you are going to do is, simply just explain, okay, how you plan to run your system from the beginning to the end, how you plan to observe the details of your system, what possible items you need to consider when testing your system. Different browsers, different screen resolutions, different operating systems, platforms, different devices, and so on. Okay? Then for the results, I need at least 3 significant behaviors. If you can have more, the better. But if these are not significant, maybe nag-scroll lang buttons, nagdagko lang gamay ang fonts, okay? Which you can easily fix. No need to present it here. I only need the most significant results. And lastly, interpret the results, okay? So that your panelists will no longer ask you questions as to why are you using or why is it that your system has a clause below which says best viewed using Google Chrome at whatever resolution. Okay? Because you have observed that in other browsers, in other resolutions, that it does not behave 2012. Okay? Questions so far? Ilang ka percent sa beta test? That will equate itself to 10% of your final grade. Say mo na sa 30 pre-dem, 30 mid-term, 30 end term, 10% ang beta test. Or roughly 25% of your end term grade. Ang natapos sa system, dapat nag-input, dapat may mga computation, dapat makaproduce na sa output. Ganito dito, basta may input, process, output, okay? Other questions? Okay, most probably, since with the extension of our beta test schedule to the second week of September, third week of September, we have your Lasallian week. So probably the week after the Lasallian week will be the start of your final defense. And then we still have another week or two for October. Okay, October 14 pa ang exam. Okay? Sige. Other concerns? We'll discuss chapter 7 in around 2 weeks time. Okay? Pupunta niya ng iba. Okay. For those who don't have any other concerns regarding this, I need your logbooks. I will not be meeting with the group this afternoon. Just submit your logbooks. I need that for recording of for part of your field and grade. Just give me a few minutes. I will return in your document. I will only be concentrating on up to chapter 2. Chapter 3 and the rest, there will be no corrections here. But you have to return this to me next week after you have fixed whatever corrections that you have for the first two chapters. Again, most corrections here, annotations via Encodo were not applied. Okay? Okay.